Okay, so today is 30 March 2021, and I'm gonna review an article on Vienna Express Internationals. It's about rich nations' apathies driving tropical deforestation by AFP. So, in the beginning of the articles, they're talking about the rising demand in wealthy countries for dozens of commodities ranging from coffees to soybeans has stepped up the pace of deforestation in tropical countries like Brazil, Indonesia, and Vietnam. So uh, they are referring to a rich demand in wealthy countries. There have dozens of commodities ranging from coffees to soybeans. Means there are a lot of things they wanted. There are high demands from wealthy countries. So it leads to deforestation in tropical countries like Brazil, Indonesia, and Vietnam. So you can see a pictures here. A man harvests coffee beans in Kantung province in the Central Highland. So the Central Highland of Vietnam is the root from is a central region for coffee beans. There are a lot of regions in Central Highland which grows coffee beans here. Grow coffee trees to harvest coffee beans for produce coffees and for exporting coffee to other countries in all over the world, and we also use in our countries too, Vietnam here of course. And next thing they are talking about, even as North America and Europe expand forest cover within their own borders, between their own borders, effort to slow forest loss in the global south through offset scheme and direct payment have been overwhelmed by these apathies, researchers said in the journal Nature's Ecologies and Evolutions. So some researchers, they are talking about the current situation on a journal about it is a journals Nature's Ecologies and Evolutions. They are talking about the things that have been currently occurring all over the world. They are referring to North America and Europe. They are trying to expand the forest cover within their own borders, meaning even those the America and Europe regions are trying to expand the forest covers in their countries, but the efforts to slow forest loss in the global south through offset scheme and direct payment have been overwhelmed by the apathies, which means the rising demand for many commodities from many countries, especially the wealthy countries in all over the world, made the efforts from North America and Europe to expand their forest seem to be waste. And they cannot compare to the losses of the forest when we referring to the global scales. They are overwhelmed by the apathies for commodities from many countries, especially the rich countries, the wealthy countries in the world. So The first country by country's quantifications of how rich nations import dry deforestation shows that 8% in G7 nations account for, on average, the loss of 4 trees somewhere else in the world per year. So they made a calculation. On average, 8% in G7 on average will cause the loss of 4 trees somewhere out in the global scales every year. Wow, so that a lot of trees. There are a lot of trees. And in the 2015, the last years for which figures were available across all datasets examined that totaled more than 3 billion trees, the researcher found. I am not quite fully understand these sentences. In 2015, the last years for which figures were available across all the datasets examined that totaled more than 3 billion trees, the researcher found. So, moves next. In 5 of those G7 nations, Japan, Germany, France, Britain, and Italy, 91 to 99% of their deforestation footprint was in foreign countries. How was that in the tropic? Oh my god, I didn't know this. So actually they are maintaining their forest. They have planned for nurturing their forest, preventing the losses of the forest, but referring to their rising demands, a large amount of demands for the commodities from these countries. 91 to 99% of their deforestation footprint within foreign countries, which means they import those commodities from other countries, not in their countries, not use too much in their countries, import the commodities in other countries. So that's why 91 to 99% of their deforestation footprint was in other countries. That actually a loss is almost all of it. All of the commodities they were using was in other countries. They are importing those things. So, and the next one is also remarkable. Half of that in the tropic. Oh God. So there are wealthy countries. They can import the commodities they wanted, but they are the poorer countries. They have to export the commodities to the wealthy countries. That's a sad story, but they need to develop their countries. I think that's why the reason is what is happening right now. So next thing, their footprint has grown most rapidly in China and India, but per capita tree slot is still far below that of rich nations. So the footprint has grown most rapidly in China. So China and India were the most countries export the commodities to those wealthy nations, G7 nations. But per capita tree slots is still far below that of rich nations. But per capita, I don't understand the word capitas, so I'm gonna search it on Google. So I'm gonna search by DeFi here. Per capita is a Latin term that translates by head. By head, the average person, and is often used in place of per person. So per capita mean the average per person. Mm-hmm. Per person. So the average per person. Come back. So, but the per capita tree slot is still far below that of rich nations. So, which means that deforestation occurring in China, in India, which had grown most rapidly in recent years, but per capita tree loss is still far below that of rich nations. So um, the, uh, the average per person, the China and India's deforestation is still far below of that rich nations. So those nations, they are consumed a lot of commodities from other countries, even the China and India, which has grown most rapidly, cannot compare to the countries, rich countries. And most forests are in poorer countries that are overwhelmed with economic incentives to cut them down. So the large quantities of the forest are in poorer countries, which they are requiring it to develop the economic. So because of the economic incentives, they cannot cut them down. They cannot cut the deforestation down, which means they cannot stop it. They cannot stop the deforestation because they wanted to develop the economic, due to the economic incentive, which means that works deforestation for the commodities bring the economic incentive to them, so they cannot cut them down. Lead author Nguyễn Tiến Hoàng, an expert in environmental modeling and mapping at the Research Institute for Humanity and Nature in Kyoto, so AFP. So it's from an expert. We show that richer countries are encouraging deforestation through demand for commodities. So the rich countries, they are not encouraging for deforestation, but they are indirectly doing that on the demand for commodities. On demand for commodities, the rich countries are pushing deforestation of the poorer countries to its limit. Of course, no countries will say about you should deforestation so you can get more commodities to export to other countries like that. They just have a high demand for the commodities and let the poor country or the other countries choose to deforestation, destroy the forest, and then export the commodities to those rich countries. Indirectly, of course. So combining data on forest loss and global supply chain, Wang and his colleague Keiichiro Kanemoto show which nations were buying what commodities from where. So they are researching and they're combining the data on forest lot and global supply chains. So they know about the data. They can show which nations were buying So which nations are demanding for the commodities from other countries? Cocoa and coffee. Cocoa consumption in Germany, for example, they are taking an example, providing the data pose a very high risk to forest. Oh, I didn't know this. Why cocoa consumption in Germany pose a very high risk to forest? So where in the world specifically is in Ivory Coast and Ghana, Huang noted. So you take an example for that. And the next thing is deforestation in coastal Tanzania. Meanwhile, it directly linked to a Japanese demand for agricultural products. They didn't provide a details for which agricultural product here the Japanese demand for is causing the deforestation in coastal Tanzania. But that's their conclusion, of course. And the next things in Vietnam, yes, that was we are talking about what I am interested the most. In Vietnam, forest lot in the Central Highlands is mainly driven by coffee drinkers in the US, Germany, and Italy, while in northern Vietnam, the corporate export to China, South Korea, and Japan. Is there coffee? Is there coffee exporting in the north of Vietnam? So they're talking about in Vietnam forest lot in Central Highlands. If you do not know where is the Central Highland, you have to go back into the middles of Vietnam. So there exists the Central Highland, and they are planting a lot of coffee trees for coffees, produce coffees, both for use in our countries and exporting to the other countries. So they provided a detailed information here is by the coffee drinker in the US, Germany, and Italy. And in the northern Vietnam, the corporate export to China, South Korea, and Japan. Are they referring to the coffees? Maybe. I do not know where in the north of Vietnam planting coffee right now. I do not know. Which region in northern Vietnam's planting the coffee trees right now. I only know the Central Highlands. They are famous for coffee trees, coffee regions. One of the most famous coffee companies in Vietnam is Trung Nguyen. If you know Trung Nguyen coffees, they are very famous and they're really, really big companies. So next, palm oil. Palm oil used in food products and biofuels is the main instigators of forest loss in Indonesia, while large swaths of forest in Brazil are destroyed to make a way for beef, soybeans, and sugarcane production. Palm oil. I do not know palm. What is palm? Let's see. Aha, so that is it, palms. Palms. Okay, that is it, palm. Palm trees. Palm trees. Palm trees. So now I understand the palm oils now. Okay, palm trees. So we can take a note here like this. Palm trees. Like this. We can draw it like this. There's lots of So trees, trees, lives here. You can draw it like this so that we can remember it words more easily. So the palm trees used to produce palm oils. Used to produce palm oil. Use in food products and biofuels is the main instigators of forest loss in Indonesia. So in these sentences, I do not understand the meaning of instigator, so I'm gonna short it too. Short 12. Okay, so the instigator mean a person who bring about or initiate something. So okay, instigators. Instigators mean a person who bring something, who bring about or initiate something. Okay, it's a noun. So is the main instigators of forest loss in Indonesia. So okay, that makes sense. Palm oil used in food products and biofuels is the main instigators of forest loss in Indonesia. It means it's the main reason of forest loss in Indonesia. While large swaths of forests in Brazil are destroyed to make way for beef, soybean, and sugarcane production. So large swath. I do not understand the swath. Swath definition. Yes. Swath. Okay, so their meaning is a long strip or large areas, especially upland. So it means a large areas of land, just like that. A large area of land. Oh, sorry. So the large swath, the large areas of land, a forest in Brazil are destroyed to make way for beef, soybean, and sugarcane production. So, three things is beef related to cows. Cows, yes. Soybeans and sugarcane production. So I think it's about the Amazon forest in Brazil. Uh, a lot of information on TVs, internet, and news talking about Brazil's government. They are pushing, um, they are agreeing, accepting the forest deforestation of Amazons for making beef. So it makes noise in all over the world. It makes noise in all over the world. So next, among wealthy nations, France has the highest rate of per capita tropical deforestation with 21 square meters, 220 square feet lost in 2015. Oh, really? I didn't understand too much, but I'm totally surprised that France has the highest rate of per capita tropical deforestation. Okay, so Germany and Norway were close behind, okay, with Japan, Mexico, and the US responsible per capita for about 16 square meters of clear forest years, whether through burning or timber harvesting. Okay, so France in the top of the list. Next is Germany and Norway, stay close behind. And Japan, Mexico, and the US responsible per capita for over 16 square meters of clear forest that years. So France is 21 square meters. Japan, Mexico, and the US is 16 square meters. Whether through burning or timber harvesting. Oh, a new word here, timber. What is the meaning of timber? Timber, wood prepared for use in building and carpentries. So that's the meaning of timber. Means the wood prepared for use in building. So means the wood prepared for use in the buildings, that's the timbers. So timber harvesting, so they have forests for timber harvesting, and also forest facing burning problem for so next thing, the richest and most biodiverse ecosystem among forests are in the tropic, one says. So the high quality forest with a biodiverse ecosystem is in the tropic regions. Yes, of course, why not? Definitely true. Like in the north or in the south, too far away from the south, in the north, there's winter seasons where the snow is falling almost and temperature decrease too low. There isn't much forest here that can live with a rich bioecosystem because um, the trees here have to rid of their leaves to survive through the winters, and they will come back, they will grow back on the spring seasons and summer seasons. In the tropic regions, the forest live all seasons. They have rich in ecosystem. So forests cover for more than 30% of Earth's land surface, and tropical forests are home to between 50 and 90% of all terrestrial species. That's a very important information and useful information too. So forests cover more than 30% of Earth's land surface. tropical forests are really important. So this one is really important information. Tropical forests are really important since they are the home to between 50 to 90% of terrestrial species. What is terrestrial species? I am not understand the meaning of terrestrial, so I'm gonna search it in Google here. So terrestrials refer to things related to land or the planet Earth. Terrestrials animals and animals that lives on land opposed to living in waters. So terrestrials mean terrestrials animals means an animals that lives on land, of course, opposed to living in waters. To living in waters. So terrestrial animals referring to the animals that lives on land. Of course, that's the simplest meaning. Terrestrial species means the species living on land, of course, which is 50 to 90% remain on tropical forest. Okay. So tropical forests are really rich of the ecosystem. The animals and plants live here. And next is in 2019, a football pitch of primary oak grove trees were destroyed in the tropic every 6 seconds. About 38,000 square kilometers, 14,500 square miles. In all, according to the satellite data, a football pitch of primary oak grove trees were destroyed in the tropic every 6 seconds. Do not understand the meaning of sentence a football pitch of primary. Yeah, I'm gonna search it on Google. Search.